General Hospital spoilers for Tuesday, June 3rd, reveal that Trina never imagined she'd find herself standing in a courtroom, facing a row of judges, lawyers, and the cold glare of media lights, all to defend her best friend, Jocelyn. But when Jocelyn's name was suddenly brought up in a federal hearing involving the WSB, everything they once believed to be untouchable quickly began to fall apart. The secret link between Jocelyn and a covert operation tied to the WSB, long thought buried, has resurfaced as dangerous evidence of unauthorized involvement, placing her at the center of an international investigation. Amid accusations, invasive scrutiny, and a public demanding answers, Trina knew she couldn't stay silent. If she didn't stand up, who would? What began as an investigation into medical ethics and security, connected to a volunteer program Jocelyn joined in conflict zones, took a dark turn when a former WSB agent was arrested for leaking classified information to enemy organizations. Tracing back his contacts, authorities discovered that Jocelyn had unknowingly interacted with and provided medical aid to a person under surveillance. Though she had no idea who the individual was and acted purely out of compassion, political forces saw a scapegoat in her. In the moment when Jocelyn felt utterly abandoned, Trina stepped forward. She wasn't just a witness, she was a warrior. With remarkable composure, Trina gave detailed testimony about their work together, emphasizing how Jocelyn always opposed political interference in healthcare. She insisted any contact Jocelyn had with intelligence-linked figures was coincidental, not intentional. Trina spoke of nights spent at field clinics, where Jocelyn saved children, adults, allies, even enemies. She described how Jocelyn upheld medical ethics above all else, willingly risking herself for the ideals medicine should honor. Trina stressed that if the legal system begins punishing brave young people like Jocelyn for misunderstood acts of kindness, then justice itself is being warped. She stood firm against the prosecution's loaded questions and fearlessly criticized the media for irresponsible headlines that demonized an innocent person. When a doctored video emerged, edited to make Jocelyn appear as if aiding spies, it was Trina who produced the original footage, exposing the fabrication in front of the entire court. Her courageous actions not only salvaged Jocelyn's image in the eyes of authorities but also reignited belief in integrity and bravery among the youth. Trina changed the entire course of the hearing. She didn't just defend a person, she defended a value, genuine friendship that stands unshaken by political or media pressure. But her intervention came with consequences. As soon as her testimony was made public, Trina began receiving anonymous threats. Someone wasn't happy the truth came out. The forces behind the allegations against Jocelyn weren't finished, and now Trina became their next target. They began digging into her past, monitoring her family, and spreading false rumors to discredit her within the community. Still, Trina didn't back down. To her, protecting Jocelyn wasn't a choice, it was a responsibility. Their friendship wasn't just youthful attachment, but a symbol of two people brave enough to stand up to injustice, even if it cost them their safety, reputations, and future. As the hearing neared its conclusion and Jocelyn had a chance to reclaim her name, Trina etched hers into the hearts of a generation, as a living testament to resilience, to speaking out when the truth is twisted, and as the kind of friend anyone would hope for in a world built on lies. Their fight isn't over. But as of today, Port Charles knows. If anyone wants to silence an honest soul through manipulation, they'll have to get through Trina first. And in her eyes, there is nothing more formidable than someone who stands for what's right, not with power, but with heart. Meanwhile, Jordan is venturing into entirely new territory, where everything about Dalton, the mysterious man recently appearing in Port Charles, reeks of danger and deadly calculation. Initially, Dalton was just a name occasionally mentioned in scattered FBI files. But as incidents involving the WSB, counterintelligence operations, and defectors started multiplying in internal intelligence reports, Jordan realized his presence wasn't coincidence, it was by design. What shocked her most was uncovering murky connections between Dalton and individuals once considered untouchable, including key players in the city's shadow government. While Port Charles wrestles with scandals, the WSB investigation, and destructive custody battles, Dalton lurks like a silent predator. And now Jordan understands, he isn't just watching. He's pulling strings. His quiet movements and strategic appearances at the epicenters of information leaks pushed Jordan to dig deeper. Satellite data, forged immigration records, encrypted audio logs, everything pointed to one chilling conclusion: Dalton wasn't just a player. He might be the mastermind of an underground network aiming to directly interfere with Port Charles's power structure. The narrative shifted from suspicion to action. Jordan began reopening unsolved cases with similar patterns, reaching out to former agents who had encountered Dalton during his operations in Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and the Balkans. Every description she received carried the same warning: Dalton never acts without a clear objective. He doesn't do it for money, he does it for control. And this time, it seems his target is Port Charles. One of the most stunning revelations came when Jordan discovered links between Dalton and insiders at General Hospital, including secret donors and high-level figures in medical research foundations. If Dalton has roots that deep, no one in the city is beyond reach. The question is no longer who's involved, but who hasn't he influenced? This forced Jordan to take a bold step. To confront Dalton directly. But she knew this wouldn't be an ordinary conversation, it was a chess match. Every question could be a fatal misstep. Dalton wasn't just smart. He could see through psychological defenses. But Jordan wasn't inexperienced. She prepared meticulously: shadow surveillance, flawlessly disguised recording devices, and bait questions designed to provoke slips. She didn't go in to intimidate, she went in to lure him into exposing something. But in that very encounter, Jordan faced one of her greatest shocks. Dalton didn't deny a thing. He confirmed his presence, his motives, and even suggested that everything she had uncovered was merely the tip of the iceberg. "I didn't come here to destroy Port Charles," he said, eyes as cold as steel. "I came to restore order." With every word, Jordan felt the weight of a larger, deeper plan unfolding, one that no one else in the city could even imagine. After their meeting, she returned to her office, shut the door, and stared at the evidence board. She knew, this was no longer just an investigation. This was a war between darkness and light. Between truth and a web of lies spreading across every corner of Port Charles. And now, she, Jordan Ashford, stood at the front lines, bearing the weight not only of the city's safety but also the responsibility of stopping a political intelligence infiltration unlike anything in its history. Dalton had opened the gates of hell. And Jordan was the only one strong enough to walk through without being consumed. But the biggest question remains. Can she win, or has her very decision to engage with Dalton already triggered a trap set long ago? A new nightmare is rising, and its name is Dalton. Sonny is entering a phase where the storms within him can no longer be hidden. After months of silent endurance, quietly accumulated wounds, and rising suspicion toward forces lurking in the shadows, Sonny has finally chosen to open up to the one person he trusts most, Jason. This isn't just a confession, it's a passing of the torch. A plea weighted with pain, anger, and a fragile hope that Jason might uncover the truth behind the chaos that's remained unsolved for too long. Sonny has never been someone to admit weakness easily. Much less confess that he was attacked while caught off guard, something that had never happened throughout his reign over Port Charles's underworld. But this time is different. The injury isn't just physical, it's psychological, a deep-seated wound carved by one haunting question: who's behind it all? Who's bold enough to strike at Sonny Corinthos, and why? Jason. The loyal comrade who stood beside Sonny through countless battles, now finds himself at a crossroads. By revealing all the details of the attack, the strange signs leading up to it, and the vague threats he had previously kept to himself, Sonny has handed Jason the key to a maze of conspiracy far more dangerous than anything they've ever faced. Sonny isn't looking for pity, he's looking for truth. And he knows Jason is the only one smart, careful, and loyal enough to navigate the trap-laden path without being consumed by calculated deceit. This isn't just about one attack. The scattered clues Sonny had kept close: stolen shipments, anonymous calls, breaches into his financial network, are now forming a much larger picture, filled with peril. At the center of that picture, Jason uncovers something even more terrifying. The enemy may not be an outsider. It could be someone who was once trusted. Someone who knows every move, every weakness, every secret only known to insiders. Sonny didn't just reach out to Jason for help, he did it to relieve the growing paranoia inside him. The fear of betrayal, the fear of losing control, and above all, the fear of not being safe in the very city he's protected with blood and belief. Every word he speaks is like peeling away the hardened layers of a man once thought untouchable, and every response from Jason is a step closer to the hand behind the curtain. Jason begins investigating quietly but relentlessly. He visits locations Sonny frequented, reconnects with old associates, tracks suspicious money trails, and discreetly observes even the most seemingly harmless individuals. The deeper he goes, the clearer it becomes, this isn't just an assassination attempt. It's a full-scale purge, targeting Sonny's legacy, his family, and everything he's built. A new force wants to rewrite the rules of Port Charles, and Sonny is the first chapter in this silent coup. But if the mastermind believes Sonny is drained of power, they're wrong. Opening up to Jason has unleashed a new storm, an unrelenting pursuit for truth and justice. In the shadows of the city's sleepless nights, Jason will overturn every stone of the conspiracy, expose every betrayal, and confront the demons of the past. And Sonny, though bearing deep scars, will remain standing, because he's placed everything on Jason's shoulders. A mad shift is underway. The old order is being dismantled. And Jason, fueled by loyalty and sacred rage, is becoming the only right hand capable of either restoring Sonny's throne, or burying the entire legacy to protect the man he calls family. In the thick darkness of conspiracy and betrayal, there's only one light left to guide the way, and it's the truth, which Jason will not stop until he finds. The story becomes even more severe when Rick, cornered after failing to extort Alexis and regain his lost power, lets his rage spiral out of control. In a moment of explosive fury, Rick resorts to violence against Alexis, an act not only shocking but one that awakens the darkest memories Alexis believed long buried. This is no longer a legal or financial dispute. It has turned into a dangerous chain of events, pulling everyone involved into a spiral of violence, betrayal, and psychological collapse. It began when Alexis firmly rejected Rick's final offer, a bold move, but one filled with risk. Rick, already on edge from losing control, was provoked by the humiliation and desperation of being cornered. And in that moment, he crossed a line he once swore he never would. Alexis, who had always been strong in the courtroom, now faces a harsh personal reality. A part of her private life has been violated by the very man she once thought had left the darkness behind. Rick's actions are more than physical, they're a devastating psychological blow to Alexis, who had already been emotionally drained by months of protecting her daughter from legal consequences. What makes this even more tragic is Christina's direct involvement in the chain of events. Had she not acted impulsively, had she not been the one behind sabotaging Rick's car, the situation might never have escalated this far. Christina's lack of control, whether born from anger or fear, has become the spark that pushed Rick to the edge. Now, Christina is spiraling into panic, believing she's the root cause of the entire tragedy. That feeling, that she endangered her mother and resurrected Rick's most brutal self, is consuming her. Meanwhile, Sonny, driven by fury and a primal instinct to protect his family, is forced to act. He cannot stand by while Alexis is harmed, nor can he allow Christina to be further swallowed by the legal and emotional fallout. Jason is summoned immediately. No one understands Rick like Jason, through years of rivalry, legal warfare, and underworld conflict. This time, the mission isn't just to expose the truth, it's to stop Rick before he hurts anyone else. Jason, calm and precise as always, begins gathering evidence, reviewing timelines, scrutinizing surveillance footage and eyewitness accounts. Spinelli is brought in to expand the cyber investigation, combing through Rick's communications to determine whether he acted alone or had help. And slowly, disturbing clues surface, revealing that Rick had planned the attack in advance. He had set up a network to apply financial and legal pressure on Alexis for weeks before the incident. At the same time, Alexis is torn between going public with the assault or remaining silent to shield Christina from public scrutiny. But that time has passed. She can no longer maintain the composure of a prosecutor. Now, she is a mother, a victim, and a woman forced to decide what matters more, truth or false peace. This isn't just a personal crisis, it's the eruption of long-suppressed mistakes, miscalculations, and obsessions. Rick is no longer a respectable lawyer, he is a threat. And that puts the entire Port Charles justice system in a position where it must confront him. Jason, Spinelli, Sonny, and even Sam begin aligning to confront the aftermath of Rick's actions, not just for Alexis's sake, but for Christina's future and the integrity of their family. In the days to come, there will be hearings, testimonies, and truths unveiled. But until then, this story continues to burn beneath the surface, a story of betrayed trust, unchecked obsession, and the question of whether justice can still stand tall in a world where darkness seems to be closing in. Michael and Willow's divorce trial has finally begun, marking a painful but inevitable turning point in what was once the strongest and most loving relationship in Port Charles. But what unfolds in the courtroom is more than just a division of assets or custody, it's a peeling back of lies, distorted memories, and tears from years of believing they were fighting for each other. The story of Michael and Willow has become a brutal legal showdown where there is no room for forgiveness. Only shocking truths and unhealed scars. Willow, who once swore she would never turn her back on Michael, now sits across from him like a stranger. She carries herself with a mixture of defensiveness and self-blame, trying to maintain the belief that everything she did was for the good of her children. But what she doesn't expect is that Michael is no longer the gentle, forgiving man he once was. He came to court as a father fighting for the best interests of Wiley and Amelia. And as a man betrayed not only by the wife he once loved, but also by the trust he once held with all his heart. The opening statements were stunning. Michael's attorney immediately laid out evidence that Willow and Drew had been having an affair while she was still legally married to Michael. Private text messages, hotel camera footage, even secondhand testimony from insiders, all presented in court like daggers to the image of the model wife Willow had tried so hard to maintain. Willow did not deny it. She was silent. But tears welled up in her eyes. They were no longer tears of remorse, but of recognition that she had let herself get caught up in mistakes that were now costing her everything she had. The eyes that looked at her in the courtroom, from her mother, from her friends, from those who had once stood by her, were now cold and distant. Michael didn't stop there. He continued to expose the unilateral decisions that Willow had made. Her use of medical authority to sign temporary guardianship papers for Drew in case of emergency. Her secret transfer of the children's insurance accounts without notice, all of these were brought up as evidence that Willow had not only betrayed Michael in her heart, but had also tried to remove him from the role of a father in a quiet and calculated way. But the most shocking thing was when Michael released a recording, the voices of Drew and Willow discussing their plan to paint Michael as an irresponsible father, to gain an advantage in the trial. The courtroom fell silent after the recording. Willow hung her head, her hands shaking, while Drew, who was not present at the trial, immediately became the target of public criticism. Outside the courtroom, Port Charles is in an uproar. Willow's supporters have turned against her, and those who doubted her have more reason to confirm their prejudices. Willow hasn't just lost Michael, she risks losing Wiley and Amelia if the judge finds her mentally and morally unfit to parent. This legal battle is no longer a divorce proceeding, it's become a battle for honor, for parental rights, and for the shreds of love that remain between two people who once meant the world to each other. Every testimony, every detail, is magnified by legal and emotional lenses, making each trial a brutal drama from which no one can escape unscathed. Willow is on the brink of collapse. Not only does she face losing custody, but she also faces her own conscience, as she realizes that her blind love for Drew has cost her everything. She once thought she was on the right path, but now every step leads to a pit of regret and loneliness. Meanwhile, Michael, despite his legal victory, is no longer happy. His heart is cold, his once loving eyes are hard and painful. He is fighting not for revenge, but to protect what is left of the family he betrayed. And the trial has only just begun. Secrets have yet to be revealed. Witnesses have yet to be called. And somewhere in the shadows, people like Rick and Nina still hold the cards that can turn the tide. Port Charles is waiting to see, is this the end for Michael and Willow? Or just the first chapter in a larger tragedy that is slowly unfolding?